Welcome back. A lot of ribbon cutting is going to take place in 2020. Stephen Sharp is co-founder and editor of Urbanize LA. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Great website, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate
so,
that.
So 2020, a lot of developments. You see a lot of cranes all over Southern California, but these are the ones that are going to go online. Let's start with transit. Metro Rail is making its way finally down to LAX with the Crenshaw line.
Yeah, just about time. So the Crenshaw LAX line, it is an 8.5-mile light rail line running between the Expo line in the north down through South LA, Leimert Park, Inglewood, and then finally with the long-awaited rail link to Los Angeles International Airport.
But the People Mover has not been built, so there'll be shuttle buses for now.
For now, but which is what they already have at the airport. But they are building the People Mover as well. That's a little bit further off, but eventually we will have an easier time getting into LAX.
Speaking about that area, Inglewood, this is amazing what they're building there. You have an NFL stadium, and it's not just the NFL stadium, which they will cut the ribbon on this year for this season.
Yes.
What else is going there?
There's housing, there is office space, retail, a hotel. It is really just an immense neighborhood. Inglewood has basically built themselves a second downtown.
The stadium will open. Will all the rest of it open, or is it being built in stages?
So it's being built in stages, just as it has to be for a project of this size. So that'll come online in, incrementally over the next several years.
Downtown, a lot of projects of late. I'm interested in the former LA Examiner building.
Yes,
this was where the Los Angeles Examiner was headquartered for so many years, and William Randolph Hearst had the architect from Hearst Castle.
Yeah, Julia Morgan.
And it's been vacant for years.
Yeah, I mean, since I believe the newspaper shuttered in 1989, so the building has been empty over that time, except for the occasional film shoot. But now it is reopening with really a perfect tenant given the heritage of the building. Arizona State University's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism is going to be setting up shop there.
And there'll be retail there as well?
Yeah.
There was all this talk about the Expo line was perfect for high-density, transit-oriented development, and that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of the bright spots, just for, especially on the west side.
People like Scott Wiener, the Democrat out of San Francisco, the SB 50, that is the bill that would require density housing along transit lines. That's exactly what he's thinking of. They're thinking.
Well, perhaps not at the scale of some of these projects that you're seeing along the Expo line. He wants more of the infill type, 3- and 4-story apartment buildings, near transit corridors, bus lines, near job centers, where really we should be building housing.
The Motion Picture Academy doesn't have a museum.
No, it should, right?
But they're about to get one. This is being developed in the Mid-Wilshire area. Is it the old May building?
It's so part of it is going into the old May Company building at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax. It's being restored beautifully. And then also, if anyone who's passed by on Fairfax or 6th Street recently will have noticed the almost Death Star-like structure that's going up behind it. It's a glass orb. It's very striking. You can't miss it. And it's going to be certainly a landmark for years to come in Los Angeles.
And that is also on the Purple Line, which is being built. That's not going to open
not in 2020.
Not in 2020. But some of the other projects downtown, the Grand Avenue project, which across from the Walt Disney Hall, that's been in the works for years. You're not going to cut any ribbons on that, but it's going up.
Yes, it is going up, and that should be targeted for, I believe, 2021. But it's it just really ties that neighborhood together. I think Walt Disney Hall is an icon, and it really is always deserved something just as nice across the street, and Frank Gehry's hopefully going to give them that.
And in terms of development, there's the Oceanwide. Is that the name of the company out of China?
Oceanwide, yeah.
And they had a development going on across from Staples.
Yeah.
And there's some question as to whether or not the money is dried up for that. Is that going to end anytime soon? And what's the status of that we know?
I pass by that site most days of the week, and there is not much going on, to be frank. It's hard to say. Obviously, there's a lot of legal issues between the developer and his contractors.
The developer's out of China.
Yes, and that's all sorts of complications with that, given the federal political landscape. There's no end in sight for that project at the moment.
She's going to stay there for a while. Yeah, well, Stephen Sharp, thank you very much for joining us from Urbanize LA. You started that website?
Yeah, about my co-founder, Chris Luce. We got together about 5 years ago, and it's kind of just snowballed into something that
Because you like
Yeah,
projects
yeah.
and you like seeing what's going on up next door.
Exactly.
Stephen Sharp of the website Urbanize LA, where you can find it urbanize.la. And thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.